My name is Emily, and my life was never the same after that ominous swipe on a seemingly innocent Tinder profile. It all began on a lonely Friday night, the kind where the shadows in the corners of your room start playing tricks on your mind. Boredom had driven me to the depths of the dating app, hoping to find some distraction in the digital sea of faces. As I scrolled through the monotonous sea of profiles, one picture caught my eye. A hauntingly captivating gaze that seemed to pierce through the screen, drawing me into a world of unknown intrigue. The stranger in the photo had an air of mystery, a certain allure that left me unable to resist the temptation. With a hesitant yet curious swipe to the right, I unknowingly initiated a chain of events that would plunge me into a nightmare. The moment my fingertip made contact with the screen, an unsettling shiver ran down my spine. It was as if a silent whisper echoed through the room, carried on an invisible breeze that left the air heavy with anticipation. Dismissing it as mere coincidence, I continued scrolling, but the atmosphere had shifted. The next day, I woke up to a feeling of unease, as if an unseen presence lingered in the corners of my bedroom. Ignoring the lingering discomfort, I went about my daily routine, but things took a sinister turn as the day wore on. Small, unexplainable occurrences began to unfold. A flicker of movement in the corner of my eye, a door creaking open on its own accord, and a subtle but chilling whisper that seemed to call my name when I was alone. One evening, as I sat on my couch with a dim glow of my phone lighting up my face, a soft ping announced a new message on Tinder. It was from the mysterious stranger whose profile I had swiped right on. The message, though innocuous, carried an unsettling weight. "Hello, Emily. Nice to meet you." I stared at the words on the screen, feeling a sense of trepidation I couldn't quite shake. After a moment of hesitation, I replied, "Nice to meet you too. Your profile picture is intriguing." The response came swiftly, "I'm glad you think so. There's more to me than meets the eye." A chill ran down my spine as I read the words. It was as if the stranger knew something beyond the ordinary. As we continued exchanging messages, the conversation took an eerie turn. The stranger seemed to know intimate details about my life, things I hadn't shared on my profile or in our brief chat. "How do you know that?" I asked, my fingers hesitating over the phone's keyboard. "I have my ways, Emily. I've been watching." "Watching?" The word hung in the air like a malevolent specter. It was then that the realization hit me. My seemingly innocent swipe had opened a door to something beyond my comprehension. That night, as I lay in bed, the room plunged into darkness. A faint glow emanated from my phone on the bedside table, and in its dim light I saw a shadowy figure standing at the foot of my bed. Panic gripped me, but when I blinked, the figure vanished. "Who are you?" I whispered into the darkness, but the only response was a subtle, mocking chuckle that seemed to linger in the air. The haunting had begun, and with each passing night, the supernatural occurrences escalated, plunging me into a chilling abyss that no amount of swiping could escape. Little did I know that my curiosity had invited a malevolent force into my life, a force with a dark secret tied to the captivating profile picture that had lured me into its clutches. The days that followed that ominous swipe dragged on like a never-ending nightmare. Each night brought a new layer of horror, and my once peaceful home morphed into a canvas for the macabre. It all began with haunting shadows that danced along the walls, their sinister movements casting an eerie atmosphere throughout every room. The first inkling of the supernatural manifested as I prepared dinner in the dimly lit kitchen. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a fleeting glimpse of a shadow slinking across the wall. It moved with an unsettling fluidity, a presence that defied any logical explanation. I froze, the knife in my hand momentarily forgotten, as the shadow twisted and contorted before vanishing into thin air. "It's just stress," I reassured myself, trying to dismiss the unnerving encounter. But the shadows had marked their territory, and as the night unfolded, their presence became more tangible. One evening, I invited my friend Sarah over to share my growing unease. As we sat in the living room, the dim light casting long shadows across the walls, I hesitated before broaching the topic. "Sarah, have you ever felt like you were being watched, but there's no one there?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She glanced around the room, her eyes narrowing. "Now that you mention it, your place does feel a bit off. Are you sure it's not just your imagination playing tricks on you?" I nodded, uncertainty gnawing at my insides. "I thought so too, but it's more than that." There are shadows, weird sounds. I can't explain it, but something is not right. Sarah's expression shifted from skepticism to concern. Maybe you should get your place checked for electrical issues or something. Just to rule out any logical explanations. Her suggestion made sense, and the next day I had technicians inspect every nook and cranny of my home. They found nothing abnormal, leaving me with an unsettling realization that the shadows were not products of faulty wiring but something more sinister. As the nights wore on, the shadows evolved into tangible entities swirling in the periphery of my vision like malevolent phantoms. They seemed to respond to my emotions, growing darker and more ominous when fear gripped my heart. A whispered conversation with Sarah over the phone didn't provide the solace I sought. "Sarah, these shadows, they're alive or something. I can feel them watching me," I confessed, my voice trembling. She paused on the other end of the line before responding, "Maybe you should stay with me for a while. Get out of that place and see if the shadows follow you." But leaving my home was not an option. The shadows had claimed it as their own, and the thought of abandoning my sanctuary filled me with dread. One night, as I lay in bed, the shadows reached a crescendo of malevolence. They coalesced into grotesque shapes that writhed and twisted, casting an oppressive darkness that seemed to swallow the very essence of the room. Terrified, I clutched my blanket, my eyes darting around the room as the shadows closed in. In a desperate attempt to confront the growing horror, I shouted, "Who are you? What do you want?" A guttural, echoing laughter reverberated through the room, chilling me to the bone. The shadows responded with a chaotic dance, their movements synchronized with the unnerving laughter that seemed to mock my futile attempts to escape the encroaching darkness. Haunted by the shadows, I stood on the precipice of a nightmare that extended far beyond a mere Tinder swipe, realizing that the supernatural forces that had invaded my life were not content with mere observation. They hungered for something more. And as the shadows whispered malevolent secrets, I knew that confronting the darkness was my only chance for salvation. The haunting shadows that had infested my home evolved into something far more sinister. The veil between the living and the dead seemed to thin, allowing ghostly apparitions to materialize in the corners of my vision. The once subtle whispers escalated into anguished moans, sending shivers down my spine as I navigated the dimly lit halls of my now haunted sanctuary. It was a Tuesday night when I first glimpsed the ghostly figures. I was in the midst of my nightly routine, scrolling through my phone in bed, attempting to find solace in the digital world. That's when I saw her, a spectral silhouette standing at the foot of my bed, her eyes vacant and hollow. I gasped, paralyzed by the ethereal presence that lingered in the room. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely audible. The apparition remained silent, her gaze penetrating the very core of my being. Panic surged within me, and as quickly as she appeared, she dissipated into the shadows. The room, once again, plunged into an oppressive silence that echoed with the weight of the supernatural. Unable to comprehend the gravity of what I had witnessed, I confided in my neighbor, Mr. Johnson, a wiry man with a penchant for conspiracy theories. "Mr. Johnson, strange things are happening in my apartment. I saw a ghost or something," I confessed, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and disbelief. He peered over his glasses, studying me intently. "Ghosts, they say. I've heard stories about this building being haunted. Old spirits unsettled by some tragedy or another." I scoffed at the notion, dismissing it as the ramblings of an eccentric neighbor. However, as the days passed, the ghostly apparitions became a nightly occurrence. Faces of the departed manifested in the dark corners, their eyes locked onto mine with an unspoken sorrow that reverberated through my very soul. One particularly unsettling night, I invited my friend Mark to witness the spectral torment that had become my reality. As we sat in the living room, the air thick with an otherworldly energy, a sudden drop in temperature signaled the arrival of the apparitions. Mark's eyes widened as a translucent figure materialized beside the flickering candle on the coffee table. "Is this some kind of prank?" he asked, his voice laced with skepticism. I shook my head, my gaze fixed on the ghostly figure. "I swear, Mark, I didn't plan any of this. I don't know what's happening." The apparition extended an ethereal hand toward me, and I felt a chill pass through my very essence. Mark, sensing the gravity of the situation, backed away. "You need to get out of here, Emily. This place is messed up." But leaving wasn't an option. The apparitions had tethered themselves to my existence, and escape seemed impossible. Night after night, their presence intensified, and I found myself ensnared in a tragic tapestry of spectral sorrow. In a desperate bid for answers, I sought out a medium named Madame Lorraine, a mysterious woman rumored to commune with the spirits. As she entered my home, her eyes scanned the room, and she let out a low, ominous hum. "These spirits are trapped, cursed by a past injustice," she murmured, her voice echoing through the haunted space. I pressed for details, my desperation evident. How do I free them? What do they want? Madame Lorraine turned to me, her eyes clouded with an ancient knowledge. "You must uncover the truth, the root of their anguish. Only then can you release them from this ethereal prison." The quest for answers intensified as I delved into the history of my apartment building, unearthing tales of tragedy and betrayal. The ghostly apparitions became my spectral guides, leading me through a labyrinth of forgotten secrets. It became clear that the haunting was not a random occurrence, but a manifestation of a vengeful force seeking redemption. Haunted by the tortured spirits, I embarked on a perilous journey to confront the dark pasts that bound them to the mortal realm. Little did I know that the answers I sought would plunge me deeper into the abyss, and the vengeful force that held my home captive was far from appeased. As the ghostly apparitions continued their nightly visitations, I felt an unrelenting urge to delve into the dark history of my apartment building. Desperation drove me to unravel the mysteries that bound these tormented spirits to the mortal realm. I spent sleepless nights poring over old records, dusty archives, and online databases, determined to uncover the truth that lingered in the shadows. My journey into the past began with a visit to the local archives, a dimly lit room filled with the musty scent of ancient documents. The archivist, a wiry man with a pair of thick glasses, eyed me curiously as I requested information on the history of my apartment building. "What's got you digging into the past?" he asked, the skepticism evident in his tone. I hesitated before responding. Strange things have been happening in my apartment. I need to know if there's something dark lurking in its history. The archivist chuckled nervously. "Well, they say every old building has its secrets. Good luck uncovering them." As I combed through the yellowed pages of old newspapers and property records, a sinister tale began to emerge. Decades ago, a tragic event had unfolded within the walls of my very home. A forbidden love affair, betrayal, and a subsequent suicide had left a lingering darkness that transcended time. Driven by the need to understand the malevolence that gripped my home, I sought the counsel of Professor Anderson, a local historian known for his expertise in the occult. The professor, with wisps of gray hair and an air of academia, listened intently as I recounted the chilling occurrences that plagued my nights. "Ah, the past has a way of clawing its way back into the present," Professor Anderson mused, adjusting his glasses. "Tell me, have you encountered any symbols or signs within your apartment?" His question caught me off guard, but I nodded hesitantly. "There's a strange symbol etched into the wall of the living room. I can't make sense of it." The professor's eyes widened, and a grave expression crossed his face. "You've stumbled upon a dark ritual, a binding force that traps souls in a state of perpetual torment. To break the curse, you must find the source of the betrayal that birthed this malevolent energy." Armed with newfound knowledge, I returned to my apartment and scrutinized the mysterious symbol etched on the living room wall. It seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy, and as I traced its twisted lines, a cold wind swept through the room, carrying with it a mournful whisper. I enlisted the help of my tech-savvy friend Alex to investigate the symbol's origins online. As we huddled around my computer, the glow of the screen casting an eerie light, Alex furrowed his brow. "This symbol doesn't match anything I've seen before. It's like it's from another world," he commented, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. I clenched my fists in frustration, the weight of the supernatural tightening its grip on my sanity. "There has to be something, Alex. I can't keep living like this." His eyes met mine, a mix of sympathy and concern. "We'll figure this out, Emily. Just give me some time." Days turned into nights as Alex dug deeper into the digital labyrinth. Cryptic forums, occult websites, and forgotten corners of the internet became our hunting grounds. It was during one fateful night, as the glow of the computer screen bathed us in an unnatural light, that Alex stumbled upon a lead. "Emily, look at this," he exclaimed, pointing to an obscure forum post. It mentions a similar symbol and a ritual gone wrong in an old apartment building. This has to be connected. As we delved into the forum posts, a haunting narrative unfolded. Decades ago, a forbidden love affair had transpired within the very walls of my apartment. The affair ended in betrayal and tragedy, culminating in a desperate soul attempting to bind their tormentor to the mortal realm through a dark ritual. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place, and I realized that the spirits that haunted me were not mere victims but tortured souls seeking retribution for the betrayal that had condemned them to an eternity of suffering. Determined to break the curse, I gathered the spectral apparitions one night in the dimly lit living room. The air grew heavy as their mournful eyes fixed upon me, and with a voice laced with conviction, I vowed to uncover the truth and set them free. The investigation had led me to the heart of a supernatural conspiracy, and as the spirits swirled around me, their silent cries echoed through the room. The journey to confront the dark past that bound my home in a grip of spectral torment had just begun, and the shadows of the past threatened to consume me whole. With the haunting shadows and ghostly apparitions serving as my spectral guides, the investigation into the dark history of my apartment building intensified. Each night, I delved deeper into the archives, haunted by the echoes of a forbidden love affair that had birthed the malevolent energy now gripping my home. As I pieced together the tragic puzzle, I stumbled upon old photographs and letters that chronicled the ill-fated romance. The characters in this ghostly drama revealed themselves to me. A young couple, Madeline and Sebastian, whose love defied the societal norms of their time. One night, as I sifted through a dusty box in the archives, I discovered a tattered journal that belonged to Madeline. Its brittle pages whispered tales of secret meetings in the moonlit garden and stolen glances filled with unspoken desires. The journal unveiled the torment that ensued when their clandestine love affair was exposed. In the pale glow of my reading lamp, I transcribed Madeline's desperate pleas for forgiveness, her words etched with a penmanship that betrayed her emotional turmoil. The specters that roamed my home seemed to gather around me, their ethereal presence heightening as the secrets of their past were laid bare. The following day, I sought solace in my friend Sarah's company, sharing the haunting revelations that had unraveled before me. Sarah, with her ever-curious nature, listened intently as I recounted the tragic tale of Madeline and Sebastian. "So, the spirits haunting your place are the remnants of this doomed love affair?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with a mix of fascination and trepidation. I nodded, the weight of the past pressing upon my shoulders. "It's more than that. There's a darkness, a betrayal that binds them to this place. I need to find out what happened next." Sarah, ever the supportive friend, offered a suggestion. "Maybe there are descendants of Madeline and Sebastian still around. You could try reaching out to their family, see if they know anything about the curse." Embracing the idea, I embarked on a quest to locate the descendants of the ill-fated lovers. The search led me to an elderly woman named Eleanor, whose connection to the past held the key to unraveling the dark secret that ensnared my home. Eleanor, with her weathered features and eyes that seemed to hold the weight of decades, invited me into her home. As we sat in her cozy living room, she listened attentively as I shared the haunting experiences that had gripped my life. "So, you're the one who's encountered the spirits," she murmured, a knowing glint in her eyes. I leaned forward, eager for answers. "Please, Eleanor, I need to know the truth. What happened to Madeline and Sebastian?" With a heavy sigh, Eleanor began to unravel the tale, her voice a haunting melody that echoed with the sorrows of the past. Madeline and Sebastian's love affair had faced insurmountable obstacles, ultimately leading to betrayal and heartbreak. The dark secret lay in the tragic end that neither of them could escape, a pact sealed with blood and tears, binding their souls to a cursed existence. As Eleanor spoke, the room seemed to shift, and I felt the presence of the tormented spirits lingering around us. The atmosphere thickened with an otherworldly energy, and I realized that the spectral entities were eager to witness the unveiling of their long-buried secrets. Driven by a newfound understanding, I returned to my apartment armed with the revelations from Eleanor. The living room, adorned with the haunting symbol, became the stage for a spectral reckoning. As the apparitions gathered around, I recounted the tragic tale of Madeline and Sebastian, exposing the betrayal that had condemned them to an eternity of unrest. The room trembled with an otherworldly force as the spirits wailed in anguish, their mournful cries echoing through the very fabric of existence. In that moment of spectral catharsis, the oppressive energy that had gripped my home began to dissipate, leaving behind a sense of profound sorrow. The apparitions, now mere wisps of their former selves, dissipated into the ethereal void. The haunting shadows that once danced malevolently in the corners of my home faded away, and a silence settled. A silence that spoke volumes of the pain and redemption that had transpired. As I stood amidst the residual energy of the supernatural encounter, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly freed the tormented souls or merely unraveled a chapter of their eternal saga. The dark secret had been unveiled, and the echoes of the past lingered in the air, a reminder of the thin veil that separated the living from the dead. The haunting was not over. It had merely transformed, leaving me to grapple with the consequences of delving into the forbidden mysteries that lay beyond the realm of the living. In the aftermath of the spectral revelation, my apartment seemed to breathe with an eerie calm. The oppressive shadows and ghostly apparitions had retreated, leaving behind an unsettling stillness that hung in the air. However, the respite was short-lived, as the supernatural forces that clung to the remnants of Madeline and Sebastian's tragic love affair found a new way to manifest their malevolence. Through sinister messages. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my living room, I received an unexpected notification on my phone. A series of cryptic messages appeared on my screen, written in a language that seemed to defy comprehension. The words were etched in ghostly letters, their luminance casting an ominous glow. "Uncover the lies that bind us," the message whispered, its digital presence sending a chill down my spine. Confused and unnerved, I rushed to show the messages to my tech-savvy friend Alex, hoping he could decipher the enigmatic script. "Emily, this isn't a language I've ever seen," Alex confessed, his brow furrowed with genuine concern. "It's like some ancient script, but it doesn't match anything in my database. Where is this coming from?" I shook my head, the weight of the unknown settling on my shoulders. "I don't know, Alex. But it feels like the spirits are trying to communicate, like they have unfinished business." As the nights unfolded, the sinister messages continued, each one revealing a fragment of the dark secrets that lingered in the ethereal realm. The glow of my phone screen became a portal to a supernatural discourse, a conversation with the restless souls tethered to the tragic love affair. One night, driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, I attempted to communicate with the spirits through the messages. "What do you want from me? How can I help you find peace?" The response came swiftly, the words materializing on my screen like phantom whispers. "The betrayer must face the truth. Seek the hidden chamber where the past lingers." The cryptic nature of the message left me perplexed, but determination replaced my apprehension. I sought the guidance of Professor Anderson, the historian whose expertise had proved invaluable in unraveling the mysteries of Madeline and Sebastian's past. "Hidden chamber. That's not a term you come across every day," the professor mused, his eyes flickering with a hint of trepidation. "But legends speak of secret rooms and forgotten spaces in old buildings. Perhaps there's a concealed chamber in your apartment that holds the key to their redemption." The idea of a hidden chamber within the confines of my home sent shivers down my spine. Together with Alex and Professor Anderson, we embarked on a meticulous search for any concealed spaces that might harbor the secrets of the spectral messages. Days turned into nights as we scrutinized the walls, floors, and every nook and cranny of my apartment. It was during one particularly exhaustive search that Alex discovered a loose floorboard in the living room, revealing a small, concealed compartment beneath. The air in the room grew heavy as we hesitantly opened the hidden chamber, revealing a collection of artifacts from a bygone era, old letters, photographs, and a weathered journal that belonged to Sebastian. The professor, his eyes wide with realization, began to read the journal aloud. It chronicled Sebastian's descent into madness after the betrayal, his desperate attempts to contact the spirit world, and the creation of the cursed symbol that had bound the souls of the ill-fated lovers. As the professor concluded his reading, the room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The sinister messages that had plagued my phone ceased, replaced by an unsettling silence. The spirits, it seemed, had communicated their final truths, and the hidden chamber had served as a vessel for their long-buried sorrows. But the tranquility was short-lived, shattered by a sudden gust of wind that extinguished the candles in the room. The temperature plummeted and the air became dense with a spectral presence. The apparitions materialized, their eyes pleading for release, their ethereal forms dissipating into the unknown. In the aftermath of the supernatural revelation, I stood alone in the living room, grappling with the weight of the truths I had uncovered. The sinister messages had led me to a hidden chamber that held the key to the spectral unrest. But as the apparitions faded away, a lingering sense of unease settled over the room. The haunting shadows and ghostly apparitions may have retreated, but the remnants of the supernatural encounter hinted at a deeper, more profound connection between the living and the dead. The revelation of the hidden chamber brought a momentary sense of closure, but the ethereal calm that settled over my apartment was an illusion, a deceptive interlude before the storm. The spirits, unburdened by the weight of their secrets, had retreated into the shadows, leaving me to navigate the eerie stillness that permeated the air. As days turned into nights, a pervasive sense of foreboding gnawed at my sanity. The oppressive atmosphere hinted at a looming confrontation, a final reckoning with the forces that lingered on the fringes of reality. The sinister messages may have ceased, but the spectral entities that had once haunted my every waking moment remained silently watching from the shadows. Determined to confront the lingering darkness, I sought the guidance of Madame Lorraine, the medium who had initially unveiled the supernatural secrets of my haunted home. "The spirits are restless, child." Madame Lorraine spoke in a hushed tone, her eyes glazed with an otherworldly wisdom. "The confrontation awaits, and you must be prepared to face the echoes of the past." Armed with the cryptic guidance from the medium, I delved into a ritualistic preparation. Candles flickered in the dimly lit room, casting dancing shadows on the walls, as I surrounded myself with artifacts from the hidden chamber. The journal, the letters, and the haunting photographs became conduits to the spectral realm, linking the living and the dead in a macabre dance of destiny. A sudden chill filled the room, and the air thickened with an energy that defied the laws of the natural world. The apparitions materialized, their ethereal forms coalescing in the shadows, their eyes fixated on me with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "Madeline Sebastian, I have uncovered the truth. I know of the betrayal that binds you to this place." I spoke into the arcane stillness, my voice quivering with a mixture of fear and determination. The spirits remained silent, their ghostly gazes penetrating the very fabric of my being. In that charged moment, the room seemed to warp and contort, a manifestation of the supernatural forces that bridged two worlds. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the room into darkness. The temperature dropped, and an otherworldly hum echoed through the space. The apparitions, now mere shadows of their former selves, began to circle around me, their movements synchronized in a spectral ballet. As the confrontation reached its crescendo, the room erupted with a cacophony of whispered voices. The spirits spoke of love betrayed, of vows broken, and of a desperate yearning for redemption. The haunting shadows became a swirling vortex of emotions, a tempest of the supernatural that threatened to consume me whole. In the midst of the spectral storm, a figure emerged from the shadows, the tormented soul of Sebastian. His eyes, once filled with despair, now held a glimmer of recognition. "Sebastian, I know of the pain you endured, the betrayal that tore your love apart." I spoke, my words resonating in the ethereal space. His spectral form wavered, as if caught in a tempest of conflicting emotions. The room vibrated with an otherworldly energy, and the apparitions drew closer, their silent pleas echoing through the void. The confrontation reached its zenith as Sebastian's spirit, bathed in an otherworldly light, approached me. The haunting shadows receded, and the oppressive energy that had gripped my home began to dissipate. "I release you," I uttered, the words carrying the weight of a solemn vow. "Find peace in the embrace of eternity, and may the echoes of your love linger in the realms beyond." Sebastian's form dissolved into a gentle mist, merging with the shadows that retreated into the corners of the room. The apparitions followed suit, their silent cries fading into an otherworldly lullaby. The room, once filled with a supernatural tumult, settled into an eerie calm. The confrontation had come to an end, and as I stood amidst the residual energies, I felt a profound sense of closure. The dark forces that had plagued my home had found solace, and the spectral entities, released from their ethereal shackles, had departed into the unknown. The ritualistic confrontation had bridged the chasm between the living and the dead, and the haunting shadows that once loomed over my existence had dissipated. Yet, as the echoes of the supernatural encounter lingered in the air, I couldn't shake the feeling that the spectral forces had merely shifted, retreating into the enigmatic tapestry of the afterlife, leaving behind a lingering sense of the macabre that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. The ritualistic confrontation had brought a semblance of peace to my haunted abode, but a lingering unease persisted in the air. The spectral entities, though appeased, seemed to hover on the edge of existence, their ethereal presence leaving a mark on the thin veil that separated the living from the dead. In the aftermath, I felt an inexplicable pull toward uncovering the final fragments of the supernatural mystery that had gripped my life. Driven by an unrelenting curiosity, I revisited the hidden chamber, the artifacts within whispering tales of love and betrayal. The journal, now open to the last pages, revealed the tormented soul of Madeline pleading for forgiveness. Her words carried an ethereal weight, and as I traced the haunting script, a realization struck me. The restless spirits were not at peace. The lingering darkness that bound Madeline and Sebastian seemed to resist the soothing balm of closure. Determined to put the restless soul to rest, I sought the guidance of Madame Lorraine once more. The medium, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of ages, greeted me with a knowing smile. The confrontation was but a prelude to the true journey, child. To set the spirits free, you must delve into the depths of their sorrow and grant them the redemption they seek. Madame Lorraine spoke, her voice a spectral melody that resonated with the energies of the unseen. Following her guidance, I embarked on a quest to unravel the final threads of the supernatural tapestry. The haunted shadows, once banished to the periphery, seemed to stir with renewed vigor, as if beckoning me to confront the abyss that lingered beyond the veil. In my exploration of the hidden chamber, I discovered an old photograph. Madeline and Sebastian, their eyes filled with an ephemeral joy that transcended the boundaries of time. The spectral energy within the room intensified, and the whispers of the restless souls became a haunting chorus that echoed through the chambers of my home. Sarah, ever the steadfast friend, joined me in this final pursuit. As we stood before the photograph, the room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Sarah, a mix of concern and curiosity etched on her face, ventured into the spectral discourse. Emily, do you think there's something left unresolved? The spirits seemed to linger, as if bound by an unspoken sorrow, she observed, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of the supernatural. I nodded, my gaze fixed on the photograph. There's a connection, Sarah. Something they want me to understand. I need to find the source of their anguish, the elusive key to setting them free. Together, we combed through the hidden chamber once more, seeking any clues that might unveil the true nature of the spectral unrest. It was during this exhaustive search that we stumbled upon a tattered letter, concealed beneath layers of forgotten artifacts. As I unfolded the fragile parchment, the words revealed a tragic epilogue to Madeline and Sebastian's tale. The letter spoke of a twisted betrayal that transcended the mortal realm, a pact made in desperation and deceit. The echoes of the past resonated within the room, and the haunting shadows seemed to converge, as if awaiting a resolution to the ancient grievances that had bound the spirits. Armed with the newfound knowledge, I returned to the photograph, my heart heavy with the weight of the revelations. Sarah, her eyes reflecting a mix of sympathy and apprehension, stood by my side as I spoke directly to the lingering souls. Madeline, Sebastian, I know of the betrayal that has kept you tethered to this realm, the pact that binds you. I need to understand. What must be done to grant you the redemption you seek? I implored, my words hanging in the air like an incantation. The room vibrated with an otherworldly energy, and the spectral entities seemed to respond. A subtle breeze carried the whispers of the restless souls, revealing the final piece of the supernatural puzzle. The pact, a dark covenant forged in desperation, required a symbolic act to sever its spectral bonds. The photograph, a snapshot of their fleeting happiness, held the key. It was a vessel for the spirit's unfulfilled desires, a bridge between the living and the dead that needed to be shattered to release them from the eternal torment. With a sense of trepidation, I tore the photograph in two, the action echoing through the room like a solemn requiem. The haunting shadows recoiled, and a profound stillness settled over the hidden chamber. In the aftermath, a luminous mist enveloped the room, and the apparitions of Madeline and Sebastian appeared one last time. Their eyes, once filled with sorrow, now conveyed a profound gratitude. As the mist dissipated, The room seemed to exhale, releasing the lingering energies into the cosmic tapestry. Silence descended upon my apartment, the oppressive shadows replaced by a tranquil calm. The hidden chamber, once a vessel for spectral secrets, now stood as a testament to the cyclical nature of the supernatural. The haunting had concluded, and the restless soul, at last, found its long-sought redemption. As I stood amidst the remnants of the supernatural odyssey, I couldn't help but wonder if the ethereal echoes would linger in the corners of my home. The thin veil between the living and the dead, though tempered, remained a tenuous boundary that hinted at the mysteries that transcended mortal understanding. The haunting shadows had dissipated, but the spectral legacy endured, a spectral enigma that lingered in the realm of the unknown.